man, how are you?
Good. How are you? Good morning. Well, morning for me, probably more afternoon for you.
Yeah, close enough. But yeah, man, it's so great to finally speak to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad we got this going.
Yeah, dude, I was not ready for your filmography. Boy, you've done a lot of stunt work, man.
Oh,
Wow.
stop, stop. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Dude, how taxing is that on the body?
Uh, Early on, you know what? Always taxing.
Yeah.
It's a career that I love, but I make sure everyone knows it's one of those that takes a toll, both mentally and physically. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mus-
I've definitely had my bumps and bruises.
Mustafa, how do you get involved in stunt work? Like, how's that? Because there's not like maybe there is a stunt work school. I don't know, but like,
It's funny because this is a very, very common question that happens quite often, and especially I'm based in Canada, and really here in the West, there's no really official stunt school. It's not quite uh, a thing, right? And mostly how people get work is, it is an industry where it's through connections. That's obviously through hard work and physical talent and all those things. But there is no official. You go to this school and you will come out of it. They
right?
do have some of that stuff in Europe. There's I think it's called Cascade University, where a lot of guys come through, and there's a lot of talented people coming through there. But definitely here in the West, there's no officiated kind of standardized stunt school. There's nothing like that.
Yeah. So let
Yeah.
me ask you this: how do you So is it like if I took like Aikido or
Hmm.
jujitsu, I would
Yeah,
have
yeah.
somebody. Is there somebody like that? I'm sure there's a multitude of people like that. Is there people like that on the stunt side of things?
Oh, of course. And then like that's where a lot of like, especially I'm a martial artist. I came up doing Taekwondo, and then obviously as I grew into it, I started doing other things, gymnastics, jujitsu, Muay Thai. The more you know, the better.
Right.
But yeah, like I stuff like Aikido and those is a great base, especially it's very fall based. A lot of guys come from judo. Um, and sorry, what was your question again?
No. Like so I asked if there was like somebody that taught, like if there was like a stunt. Well, I know there's stunt coordinators, but like
Hmm.
somebody that teaches stunt specific things. Maybe there's somebody that teaches you. I compared it to like having somebody that like knows Aikido or like a
Hmm.
jujitsu teacher. So I
For
was
sure.
just like, is there somebody that specializes in, I don't know, high falls, or somebody that
Oh,
specializes
for
in
sure. 100%.
explosions, or yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think it'd be hard to give you a list, but definitely, like everyone, especially how stunts is and how expansive it is. A lot of people come from very different, you know, what's the word? Facets of life where they
Yeah.
specialize in those things. Like one of my best friends, who was also on Karate Kid, was an extreme sports athlete growing up. He really talented performer named Stefan Julien. But he's, from starting in extreme sports, he's gone and learned martial arts because he's found those people who specialize, especially in the film side of those martial arts, right? Because you can be a good martial artist, but to adapt it to screen fighting or to adapt it to film is a whole different concept. And I was very fortunate, just to give you like a kind of short form of how I came up, is I used to be a live stage performer with a team
Ah.
called Team 2X, who used to be known as Team Ryuko, and then there was a bit of a change, and then yeah, I did live martial arts shows. So essentially, live, you can call it like a live action stunt show where we'll do martial arts choreography, do like a choreographed routine, and we'll do like fights on stage. And those guys essentially mentored me into going into stunts. As we started going away from more stage stuff, we started going into film, and then as they went on, and then I realized like, oh, this is a real job, because I was around maybe 15 doing it. Like I didn't really know. I just liked flipping around and I liked doing martial arts. And then I saw that there was a real career, obviously, after that. And then those gentlemen mentored me into, this is the stunt specific version of these martial arts, and how to do, talk to this guy for high falls, or go to this person for driving, right? Like these guys meet up every week and learn to drive. And then, they'll point you in different directions, especially if you're a fight person, which I consider myself. The different martial arts that will be useful to you in your career.
There should be an
Mhm.
Academy Award for stunt work. Did they bring that? They were
They
talking.
did. They're doing it now. Actually, I think it's going to be implemented 2026. I want to say now, and that's a funny one too, because yes, I agree. I think people should definitely be recognized for their work. That being said, and this is a very personal opinion of mine, but I always thought it was always a scary thing sometimes to add to the academy, because let's say the academy went to biggest stunt. Do then people just go for the biggest, most dangerous stunt to win the Academy,
Right,
just for the sake of
right.
it. But I think what they did, and I think is very smart, is they made the award for action design. So it's not necessarily the biggest stunt. It is the, the most story driven, or however they're going to standardize that award. But I think it's probably something that will, what action really pushes the story forward, which at the end of the day is what we do, right? And then in terms of the overall design of it versus who gets hit the hardest, right? Not being said, that being said, not that's obviously a something we should, there's a lot of guys who can hit the ground hard and should be recognized for it, but
Right.
to push that might cause some dangerous situations. So I like that they went with the action design route.
Yeah, that's smart. That's really smart. Let me ask you this, Mustafa. And all the stunts you've been on, the sets you've been on, is there an actor that surprised you with how far he or she is willing to go? I mean, because a universal example would be like Tom Cruise, right? He's breaking ankles, he's jumping off cliffs, like stuff. He doesn't have to do it, but he does it because he just loves making. So is there somebody that you've seen like that? That's an actor that you're like, Jesus, I wasn't ready for that person to be that wild about making the scene work.
You know what? It's I've never had the pleasure to work with someone like that. Tom is a unicorn, obviously. Like there's no one like Tom. I don't know anyone. I wouldn't go as far as a lot of the stuff he does. I'm like, that's crazy. I think I would just die.
Yeah.
Like I'm good, right? But especially in terms of like I do more. I do find myself more in fight positions in like martial arts movies and fight scenes and that kind of stuff. So I think if I've ever been surprised, it's by how far some actors are willing to push themselves in the fight, because in the way you shoot a fight, we'll have stuff for them. Let's say we're designing a scene, as a fight choreographer too, you'll build these scenes with actors where these scenes, like, or these parts of the fights will definitely want him to do or her to do, because like it'll look good for them and it'll do it and it will be safe. And then we have the option like this, and then when we shoot behind them, this could be all doubles. But I've worked with a couple actors who go very far, like probably the one that jumps off to me like right off the top of my head was I worked on a show called C, which was a Jason Momoa show that shot here for a bit, and
great show.
He basically just does everything. Jason is very physically talented, and moves really well. Like obviously he's doing very well as an actor, but if he wanted to be a stunt guy, he could very easily do all his own stuff. Like he does his falls and he does his fights. Obviously his doubles are very talented, but Jason pushes it quite far.
Which is even nuttier because like in that show in particular, he's playing a blind guy. So like even that takes another facet of like, what do you have? I want it to make it look real, but I don't want to, sell too much. So it's,
100%. Like, and on that show specifically, they took everyone through blind training, because the big challenge was they covered they would cover our eyes because, in that world, we can't see anyway. So why bother having something that doesn't cover our face? So a lot of the stunt guys had to go through blind training, and you can't necessarily look where you're fighting. You have to lead this way, because there's no point looking. If you're looking at something, it looks like you're not blind, right?
Right.
So it gets really difficult when you're trying to do this and not trying to look, and so you have to be quite good at it. And so it's not just learning the fights and doing the fights; it's still performing your characterizations within those fights. So that's just like wow, he did a really good job. A lot of my career I was on this show called Titans, where I doubled this guy Brenton Thwaites. I love him, and he did most of his fights. Like basically everything that you could do that wasn't a stunt, he was doing it.
Right.
Anything that didn't send me downstairs or put me through a bench or something like that, he was in there and he went for it, and he learned very fast. And so I don't know if I've met an actor, just because I just haven't been exposed to a lot of those, like a Mission Impossible or anything like that. But I've met a few actors who are willing to at least push the physical aspect of it, the physical acting side.
That's a great answer. Let me ask you this, because I think one of the underrated parts of Cobra Kai or like Karate Kid Legends is the stunt team, because there's some actors, I won't mention them, like I don't necessarily believe, I would believe that if they get into karate or martial arts situations, that they look as good as they do, right? So that's the balance of a stunt person. Like you said it earlier, you said, well, we need the actor to do this much, and then we'll take the rest of it and we'll fill in the gaps.
For sure.
I just feel like in some ways, I know they're recognized by the actors, so I'm not, but I just feel like they deserve more credit than they get, the stunt coordinators, and they get a lot from it. Like, but from the audience, not necessarily from the set personnel. I don't know. I just feel like the reason Karate Kid Legends works, Cobra Kai works, is because of people doing the coordinating, the stunt work. I think it's a big part of it.
No, for sure, and I really really appreciate that. Like that's it's very it's nice to hear, and like I think the big one, and this is again all just from my own perceptions of it, and maybe some other people too, but I'm not saying this is why it is, but I think because of the nature of what stunt work usually originally was, in terms of we were hidden, we were doubles, the double goes in. The idea is it was Brad Pitt the whole time. It was the actor the whole time, right? And I think just that culture of it, not that like we tried to push it down, but because we were always in the shadows and kind of like a secret weapon, it kind of just bled into what it is today. And I think it's a little different now. Like I think people, especially viewers are much smarter these days. I think they know like, okay, that wasn't this person and that person, and so it's becoming more recognized, and as obviously the Academy Award is happening now, but I appreciate that in terms of in the recognition, because a lot of the times and a lot of the work, let's say like specifically what I do is a lot of my hours are spent doing something called previs. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
Explain that, Mustafa.
So previs is called pre-visualization, and it's not a stunt specific terms. It's something that VFX do. It's something that everyone else does. It's essentially the idea of like storyboarding before the scene. So let's say we're about to do a fight scene. Let's take Titans, for example, right?
Right.
Before we shoot the fight, there is a scripted fight scene, but they'll task the stunt team to make a previs. So we'll get really lame versions of the costumes, kind of set up a really loose visual of the world in our own stunt space in the studios, and we'll shoot the scene how we think it should be shot.
Yeah.
And with the choreography we have in place and the shots chosen. So a lot of the times the stunt team, especially on an action heavy show like a Karate Kid had tons of previses, right? Before we even got there, they were already shot, where this is what it's going to look like. These are what the actor's going to do. These are the shots we're going to make. And so it's not just us coming in on the day and hitting the deck, taking some punches and going home. Like there's a lot of prep that goes into these scenes so that when we get to the day, everyone's already ready. Everyone knows what's up. Director knows what's up. Actors knows what's up. Doubles know what's going on. And then we can move at a pace that like already looks pre-choreographed, which it is, right?
Right.
It's not all stuff we're bringing on the day. That being said, it's, simpler things can you can kind of bypass that process, and stuff can always change on the day. Like for example, when I went in for Karate Kid, they had already previs the scenes. They've already rehearsed them. They've already I walked in. It was funny because our stunt coordinator Larry Lamb was like, yeah, basically don't worry, just come in. Like they flew us in to Montreal, which is where we shot it. He's like, you're gonna meet the team. Get in there, and then don't even change your clothes. You're just be in your civvies. It's all good, right? And then when we get in there, the stunt team's all there. Pung, who's the supervising coordinator, who's done more movies than I can count, and all the doubles are there. They had the previs ready to go, and then they just talked us through it, and then basically had barely a rehearsal, and they're like, anyways, that's your fight, have fun, I'll see you on Tuesday, kind of thing. So they're, especially, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but they expected a different pace from us, where my fight wasn't very complicated or anything, but they were kind of like, look at it once, try it like once or twice, and okay, you're ready. Like,
jeez.
That's it. Yeah.
Are you So are you up to date on Cobra Kai? Or you watch that? Is that a show you watch?
I was, and then I honestly, the only reason I stopped is because I got busy. But I got up to, what season was it? Yeah, I just get the names.
6 or 7 maybe is the last one.
I'm probably around 4 or 5. Like I'm a little bit behind. Yeah.
So are you familiar with her name is Reina. I forget her last name.
Yes. Yeah. Reina. She's on Instagram a lot.
Yeah. She's somebody when she does her scenes. I'm not sure how much is her and how much is the stunt person. Whereas I know Mary Mauser isn't doing backflips. I know she's not doing it. So it's like that's where it gets confusing for me, because she's legitimately somebody that's very much so martial arts proficient. So it's like that's where the lines for me, I'm like, Jesus, I can never tell anyway, but but it's like I just with her, I'm like, is that her doing all that, or I don't know.
Yeah, with Reina, like I don't know Reina personally, but from what I've seen, she's incredibly talented as a martial artist, right?
Yes,
Like, you know,
yes.
like she's very, very good. And you know what? I'd have to watch the scenes to give you a better answer. But
Right.
even that being said, there is a world where even if she is very capable of doing all those things, we won't let her do those things.
Right. Right.
Right. Where like, you know, I just worked I right before the show I'm doing now, I was working on a movie in Toronto called Karate Ghost, which is a very you know, it's very Karate Kid inspired, and I think it'll be very funny when it comes out.
Very
But
cool.
you know, we had our lead was a very is a local actor, but he was a black belt in karate growing up, and then we even had Michael Jai White come in to play a character, right? So I had the
Wow.
pleasure of working with him, and that was a great experience. But even with Michael Jai White, another example of someone who just wants to push everything. That being said, he's Michael Jai White. We almost had to like, it's okay, Michael. Like, we're gonna just get your double to do this, right? Like, we got like we'll barely see your face. It's all good, and you can see that he's like, no, I want to do everything. Like, yeah, yeah, and he did. He basically like, anytime he was there, it was him. His double
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
double did very little.
Yeah.
Not that he's not capable of it, but Michael wanted to get in there, right? Um, and yeah, and I think the more the situation was, we have him, we need to get the scene, and we cannot break him. We cannot break, or even maybe in Cobra Kai, like we cannot break Reina. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what the situation was, but maybe she could have done these scenes. But hey, if we could get away with it with a double, we're just gonna do it there,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
like just save her, or even if something they didn't get it on the day and they have to go back for it, but she's busy, like let's just, these are the scenes we could shoot with the double. We'll just save those for a different day and just have a whole day with the double. So you know, it's not always about capabilities or you know, like physical capabilities. It is kind of just a logistic thing in film as well.
Yeah. Well, it makes you, after hearing that, it makes you wonder even more why the hell they're letting Tom Cruise jump off of buildings, right? So it's like,
It's insane. Like I don't know, like, and that's why he has all those stories about how people won't sign off on it. Because why would you? Like,
yeah.
we could do this. It doesn't have to be you're this big on the screen, man. Like it could be anyone. But he's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about your character. First
Yeah.
of all, great name, Buddha Stevens, right? So
I
like,
know. Oh, it's amazing.
dude, I wish so everyone's talking about backstories or
Right.
side stories with Cobra Kai. I want to know the backstories of some of these characters, especially like
Yeah.
Buddha Stevens. He's this badass that just shows up out of nowhere. This he's like a really great character. So just talk about like that character and how much fun that was. And that's all you, right? There's no stunt double for this.
No, it's all me. Yeah, yeah.
That's
Which was
great, dude.
awesome. Like,
Yeah.
and you know what? Especially with talking about doubles and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I love doubling characters and everything, but it was kind of nice to just see the tournament. You know, you're the first character in the tournament, and I'm like, that's me. It's like, it's not. I'm not doubling a dude who's this, and
Yeah.
that's me. And you know, I brought all my friends and family, and my parents came to watch. So it was super fun. But yeah, Buddha Stevens is, first of all, the name was fantastic, and I remember auditioning for it. I was working on Tron, which is coming out earlier this year.
I was going to bring
Later
that
this
up
year.
later. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
So we could talk about that in a bit, but I was working on that in Vancouver, where I'm now. And then I get a text from my coordinator, from the stunt coordinator, Larry Lamb. He's like, hey, just, you know, there's a part in Karate Kid I might want you to audition for. Buddha Stevens. And I was like, that is the best name I've ever heard in my life. And the audition was, and like, I didn't have anything with me, right? I just had my phone, and like, I put my phone on a plant to as a tripod for it. And they're like, you just got to say this line, welcome to the 5 boroughs, and then try to hit someone, and then slowly start to not succeed. Like, start up high, real big confidence. And so I said my line, I took a swing at the lens, and I kind of gave it a smirk, like, okay, swung again. Then you could see the frustration start to build, and then I keep swinging. So I think the original idea was that Buddha comes in, and he's supposed to be this big dude, and tries to hit tries to hit Lee, and can't get him. And then, you know, Lee dodges, and then ends up knocking him out. But it was funny because, especially going into that, you know, I'm getting my outfit on. I'm like, this looks amazing. It's so bright and orange and crazy. But then obviously I meet the Karate Kid, and I'm like, I'm much older than this guy. like, or at least I look much older, right? They shaved me and my hair was longer, so it looked, you know, better. But I was like, and you don't have the full scope of the script, so I just have what, like, in my scene, and I get it. Oh, I'm the opening tournament fighter. But I was like, but is he fighting a bunch of kids? Is he fighting a bunch of adults? Like, I'm very much a full-grown 30-year-old man fighting fighting a 20-year-old or however old he was, but how old Ben was. And yeah, and they said, you're just coming in big smiles. You're very confident. I think at first I was trying to play it a bit more serious, and they're like, no, your name is Buddha Stevens, man. Like you embrace like the Buddhism and all that stuff. And man, like Ben was good. Ben learned all the fights like an hour before, not even like half an hour before we went.
Wow.
Like he didn't see it. I think he's maybe seen the fight, but he didn't like, they're like, all right, take Ben and take him aside. And I went with the Chinese stunt team, and then they were just like, just learn the fight. And Ben learned it so fast. And then while I was working with Ben, I had that shot to him early in the fight where I hit him in the stomach and the ribs. Yeah. He's the actor, he's the lead, so I'm gonna just give it my best and try to make it look hard.
Right.
And then Peng, our stunt coordinator, comes in. He's like, "You gotta hit him." I was like, "Well, like, okay, what?" So I, whatever that means, I go up to Ben. I'm like, "Hey, I got to give you some more love on this. Is okay?" He's like, "Dude, don't even worry about it. Like, I've been so beat up on this movie. Like, I'm not even a little, and I'm much bigger than him. Yeah. Like, I'm much taller, much wider than him. He's a small dude." And then on that take where I hit him good. Like, I felt his ribs and my knuckles. Like, I gave him a good one.
That's a lot of love.
I gave him like more than I thought I should. I was like, oh God, I hit him pretty hard on that one. And then so cut, and I run up to him like, hey, like was that okay? Was that? And he didn't even like look a little bothered by it, not even a little bit. So I was like, man, they put this kid through the ringer for sure, because he was unfazed. But yeah, and then so had that first bit, and then we keep fighting, and this is a more fun part of the story in hindsight especially. But as we go on, obviously he keeps fighting. He goes for a kick. I catch it. I try to go to hit him, and then he hits me in the head. So especially with the Jackie Chan stunt team, and a lot of stunt teams, coming out of Hong Kong cinema and stuff, they do a lot of something called positive contact, which is a fancy word for they hit you for real. Which is what I did to Ben, and what he did with me, kick me in the head. So like, hey, we're gonna put a foot pad on him, and he's gonna kick you in the head, like for real. And for me, Ralph is watching, Jackie's watching, everyone's. I don't even bat an eye. I'm like, go for it. Like, I asked my buddy to bring my mouthpiece, and I want this kid to kick me so hard, like so hard in the head. Like I want to, I don't want to look like a wuss in front of Jackie. So I wanted the full thing. So as I catch the kick, I go, and then I'm ready to go. His leg comes up, it disappears a bit behind my vision, and then I don't even see it. It hits me, and I swear I black out for maybe half a second.
Wow, he hit you that hard?
For real, hit me that hard, and I've never been hit that. Like I think it's just because I didn't see it, but I've never been hit that hard square in a fight. Because usually we're selling hits.
Yeah.
Even when we do positive, like there's a way to do it, but like he got me good, like full shin to the temple, right? And so the first one, I think we did the kick about 4 times. First one hit, I drop, and I kind of wake up before I hit the ground. And the referee comes in, who's a friend of mine, a really talented stunt guy named Dennis Lafon. He's like, knockout winner, right? They're like, woo, and then cut, and he bends down to me, and he's like, yo, dude, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, I definitely got knocked out though, and I got straight back up. and then Peng comes running out, and he's like, we didn't really get it. Like, are you good? Like, how was that? And then I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm great. And my buddy Dennis is looking at me, and he's like, yo, you are not good. Like, your eyes are going, you are so rocked right now. And then they come up to the kid, like, hey, like you hit him like pure shin, like you got to kick him in the head. And the way you do it is you kind of skip the foot off the head. So it's not like just here and then down.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not just like bat. And then, so like, you got to hit him, skip it off his head a bit more. And then like, okay. And then, they're like, camera, like you got to be wider. We didn't really see much of it. And then we did, I think, 2 or 3 more. And then, they were much better. I was taking them and like, okay, those still hurt, but I don't just go out, right? Like that first one totally rocked me.
But they all add up, right?
They all, so that was the one scary thing. So I wasn't afraid, and I'm all for positive contact. I like taking it. I like, I think when it's worth it, it's worth it. But with the head, it's tricky, right? Because now I'm like, okay, this is like the 3rd or 4th one. I feel like it doesn't hurt, but I think if I take one more, I might not get up. Like I might not be able to get up, right? So it's not a toughness thing. Like, I think I just won't be able to do it, right? So it's like, I really hope they get it on this one. Kick me in the head, go down, knockout, winner. And they're like, perfect, we got it. It's all good. I was like, oh, thank God. And I don't even know if this was directed towards me, but I'm going to take it like it was directed towards me. But Jackie, kind of walks by and he's just kind of like doing this. And he's like, first kick was the best one. And he walked away. And I took that as like, I don't know if I think he was just saying like it made the best contact. But I took it as a props, and I was kind of made my life there.
Oh, dude, as a stuntman, he gets
oh
it.
man, like it's funny. We had all these, we had all these fights coming up, and then, it's a lot of veteran stunt guys I work with here, a lot of, older women, older gentlemen. And it's so funny seeing all of them get so giddy. Because they've been doing this forever. Like the movies almost don't phase them anymore. Like it's just another day at the office. But when it's Jackie, it's a different story, right?
Yeah.
It's everyone grew up watching Jackie, and Jackie is the pinnacle of that kind of stunt work.
Because what we've been saying about Tom Cruise, Jackie Chan is 4x that.
4x, like
maybe 5x that.
He's broken everything, right? And like it's amazing that he can even still walk around right now, right? Like he's definitely you see it. He's much older now. But just an incredible, you're seeing this incredible human being, and then when so the day after my fight, we had, there's a fight later in the tournament where he fights this, I don't know if they gave him a name, but he fights this, dude in a blue gi, who's a really good friend of mine named Dylan Rampula, another really, really talented stuntman from Toronto. And he has this big fight with Ben, and then and then Aramis starts this riot, and then, Jackie and Ralph have to kind of fight everybody off. And that's where a lot of these stunt guys just got to fight Jackie and Ralph at the same time, and seeing the smiles on their faces was so amazing. And Jackie totally ran that floor. He told everyone where to go, told camera where to go. He's like, hey, you go here, you run from this way. Okay, everyone, 3, 2, 1, action. Bah, 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 bah. All right, set up here. And he's just moving. And then it was amazing because there was a really great moment that happened where it's Ralph and Jackie fighting together, which is already a cool idea. And then they had these 2 seats for them, Jackie's seat and Ralph's seat. And then, they bring out Jackie's seat and it all takes, and Jackie's like, I'm okay, right? And then, they bring Ralph's seat, and Ralph goes, if Jackie's not sitting, I'm not sitting. And then, he's like, if he can, like we're going to do this together. Like, we're going to just keep going. And I thought that was like just an amazing moment.
Yeah, that was so cool. Just hearing you talk. I wish I had some on my computer, but there's a meme. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. It says actors and their stuntmen.
I've seen this one. Yeah.
Dude, it's so accurate. Like it's so accurate. But it's funny because Jackie and because I know that there's a scene that you're talking about. I saw the movie when they're fighting each other. They're kind of like more like sparring, but they're kind of like their differences. But even if they let those 2 guys go at the ages they're at. Jackie would, and I know Ralph's a black belt. I get that. Jackie would have to slow it down a little bit because Jackie's
good.
Yeah. So you're saying you're playing. So that would be a really unfair. Even Jackie being what 70 or whatever, like
70 something. You know what? It's funny. You see it when he walks a bit because he'll walk on set and he's kind of walking in slow. You're like, oh, okay. Jackie's like older, but then he started like moving with the guys and doing choreo, and you're like, oh no, he's like, it's still there. Yeah, like especially in these more finite movements, like Jackie's quick.
Yeah. Because Jackie's Jackie's still quick, but then you like look at those like older like wrestlers, like the professional wrestlers. When they get older, they all got that gait, that walk. It's like a bow-legged walk where the bumps they've added up over the years. But it's good to see that Jackie, who's taken all of them and then some, is able to kind of bounce back and be this unbelievable filmmaker at this age. Yeah.
It's crazy to see the contrast because he'll walk in that way and you're like, oh, like, okay, Jackie's like, you see him feeling it now, right? But then he just started fighting and I'm like, oh, well, that looked really good. That looked amazing. Yeah.
So one of the things you sent me to, because I like to prepare for interviews, you sent me a pic of you and Jackie. How cool of a picture moment was that for you? And I'll put that on when I promote the interview. But like, how cool was that to meet him and take that picture?
Oh, like because Jackie is again like the pinnacle of. Before I even knew what stunt work was, right? Like I didn't know it was a job until I was like 16, right? Like I grew up. I think my favorite movie growing up was in the West. They call it Jackie Chan's First Strike. I think it's Police Story 4.
Oh, okay,
real. Yeah, with the ladder fight. I don't know if you've seen that one. So I probably saw that movie like 3 times a week as a kid. Like,
Wow.
and then I grew up watching. There was a cartoon, the Jackie Chan Adventures, all these things. So I loved all of that, right? Like, and my dad is a big Hong Kong movie guy, right? We'd watch Jet movies together, this and that. Like, we watched how many Jackie movies together, right? So, to get that picture, and that was especially now, I don't get starstruck that easily, but that was a nervous one. It was really nerve-wracking to even want to ask him for a picture and all this stuff. And I forget her name, but he had his translator with him, or his dialogue coach for English stuff, and she's a very sweet lady. And then I was like, hey, how is it? How's Jackie with pictures? And she's like, oh, it's stunt guys. He's cool, right? Like, it's his people kind of thing, right? But I was still very, very nervous to just, I'm like, maybe I'll just wait for a group shot. Like, I don't want to bug him. But then there was that. He was just about to leave from our fight day, and I was just like, I gotta ask him, right? So I run up, asked him. He was very sweet about it. And then we did take one later where there's a group shot with all the stunt guys, and that was very nice.
Oh, dude, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, Mustafa. So, so you're on two paths right now. You have an acting path. You have maybe they're the same. I don't know how you view them.
Mm-hmm.
You eventually have to make a choice. Like, can you want to be an actor forever but still do stunt work? Because I feel like that's a dangerous place to be and navigate. What is your road ahead? How do you want to maintain or manage your career?
It's funny because the acting and stunts, like, they can go together, but they're also very separate worlds. And especially even newer performers, I tell them that, like, hey, do you want to act or do you want to do stunts? You can do both, but I think some people forget how different the career paths can be. In terms of myself specifically, actually, as much as I like doing stunts and acting, I've definitely fallen to more fight choreography. And so even on this last movie I did with Karate Ghost and having Michael Jai White and all these people, I was the fight choreographer on it, along with this guy Dylan Rampula, where I also operated, so I would hold camera and shoot all the fights. And it's kind of what I'm doing on my current job now. I can't really tell you what it is. It's a really an amazing project, but I'm performing on it, but most of my job is pre-vising, actually. So the concept I was talking about earlier is choosing the shots for the fight and helping design the action. And that's what I did a lot on Tron. It's what I did, on the last movie I worked on. And then I did a movie with Bob Odenkirk in Winnipeg last year, where I was one of the fight coordinators with a very talented guy named Vlad Rimberg.
Is that movie out? Is that movie out?
No, it's not out yet. It's called Normal. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but it's shot right after Nobody 2. So we'll see what the timeline of it is. But it's a really fun concept of Bob Odenkirk playing a sheriff in a small town. Ironically enough, Mustafa, I want to hear that, but like I'll forget if I don't say this. The interview I had before you was not the kid. He's like a young adult who plays Bob Odenkirk's son in Nobody 2. So how? Oh, does it?
What a small world. Yes. Yeah. So, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but
no. Don't worry about it. I totally get that, because it's like I got to say this or else it'll never pop up again. But it was funny because Bob was he did Nobody 2, and that was in Winnipeg in Canada. And then this movie was also in Winnipeg in Canada, and he did them back to back. And so Bob Odenkirk's just doing all these action movies in Winnipeg, Canada. But no, that was an amazing experience. Worked with a lot of amazing people and talented people. But I was the fight coordinator on it, or one of the fight coordinators, choreographer. And so that's kind of where I'm finding myself going now. Especially, I've always enjoyed filming things. I always enjoyed making things. Especially, stunt work isn't a forever. Especially stunt performing isn't a forever job. You can always do stuff later, like you can drive more later, and there's different. You don't have to take the big falls anymore.
Right.
But that is where I'd say my career is, where I'd like to go with my career, and do something like Pong on Karate Kid, where he helped coordinate the fights and this, and then he would also direct the second units of those fights. So whenever main unit was filming something else, Pong would handle, and usually it's an action, and when the stunt coordinator is handling a second unit, it's usually an action heavy scene, and then he'll direct that unit.
Yeah. Listening to you talk, positive contact sounds like a polite way of saying get your bell rung. Like there's nothing positive about it.
It doesn't always have to be the head, but it means it's a fancy word for we're gonna hit you hard. We're gonna hit you for real.
Speaking of choreography, so like, have you seen the first Nobody movie? I don't know.
I have, yeah.
So there's a great scene in a bus where Bob Odenkirk and like that movie, the John Wick movies, dude, the choreography is unbelievable. I mean, it's like the way. I mean, I feel like stunt people are underrated, but so is choreography to a lot of degree too.
Yeah, and
You know?
again, that's why I find, again, with the going back to the Academy Award, like it, like that bus scene is so cool in Nobody too, right? And there's barely any talking. There's talking, but the dialogue is the action, right?
Right.
And I think that's something that's missing a lot, especially in a lot of movies and shows these days. I get sometimes it's more just like a time thing and a logistic thing that we can't put that much time into certain things, and we got to keep the ball rolling. But I think there's a lot of sometimes a lost art in story driven action and that's what like Jackie movies, when he fights, like there's a 3 arc story within the 3 arcs of the movie that happens in the fights without talking, right? They don't need to speak to convey what's happening, right? Jackie's learning his lessons with his actions. And the Nobody bus fight, like there is its own arc, right? He comes in and they're cocky and then it changes, there's a shift, then it gets more brutal, right? Like he gets his ass kicked and then he comes back, he gets knocked out of the bus, back inside, and all through action, all through choreography, right? All through performance, through the performers and the choreography.
Yeah, there's a great listening to you talk. There's a great Marvel movie where the stunt work is just out of this world. It's called what is it? I want to mispronounce it. It's
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That stunt. Forget that's a Marvel movie. The stunt work alone in that movie needs to be loved and appreciated. I think there's a bus scene, if I remember, in that.
There is a bus scene in that one too. Yeah.
An insane bus scene.
Yeah, and so the lead of that movie, Simu, is actually an old friend of ours from Toronto. He used to, and he was actually one of those guys who came up through the industry, didn't know if he wanted to do stunts or didn't know if he wanted to act. I think for him, it was almost like, which one's just going to take off first, and he'll go that way. And I think a lot of people convinced him, like, you're actually a really good actor. You got a great look. I think you should pursue acting, right? And look where he is now, right? He's actually, and I just worked with him on a show in Toronto called Copenhagen, where we met up again, and he plays the lead, and same thing. He has a lot of action, but it was good to see him again. But Shang-Chi, like, again, rest in peace. But it was coordinated by Brad Allen, who was part of the Jackie Chan stunt team, right? And that the action in that movie was really nice to see, especially Hong Kong style or wuxia style, make its way into a Western cinema, right? Yeah. And like the bus fight was amazing. Actually, it's funny. My favorite fight of the movie, and it's one of the more simple ones, is where he fights this guy, death dealer, inside the apartments. And I think even that, because it's like, if you remember this, I'm not sure if you remember the scope of the movie, but it's like this guy who used to abuse him coming up when he was with his dad, and then he has this one-on-one fight in this building, and it's just fighting. They don't talk, they see each other, and it's like, that's it, we're just throwing down, and they just start fighting, and they just go. And I was like, I haven't seen shapes and choreography like that in a really long time, and that pace too, right? So Shang-Chi was a good one.
Let me get your thoughts on this one, Mustafa. What about a movie called talk about a lot of positive contact, The Raid? Have you seen The Raid?
I've seen The Raid.
Dude, that's outrageous. Like that, and I mean that in the greatest way possible. Dude, if people watching or listening to this are looking for a movie to watch, and you love stunt work, you love fight scenes, is The Raid up there for you?
Yeah, The Raid. Oh, and The Raid is like one of those where it's like a John Wick, in that when we first, especially I think around 2017, I was doing Titans at the time. Whenever The Raid came out, everybody wanted The Raid. You go to any show, even if it didn't even match what we were talking about, they're like, "Oh, we want The Raid," and you're like, "I get that. Like, The Raid's amazing, but it doesn't work here, right? Because it's very brutal, right? But The Raid is amazing." And I worked with Iko on Snake Eyes, and he's a very nice guy, and his team is very nice. They're all very sweet people. But it's so funny because the movie is so brutal, and it set the standard for a really long time. In terms of, they do a lot of positive contact, but it's always for good reason, right? It's not like we just hit each other to hit each other. Right. That's like a very lazy way to do stunts, but like every time they did it, it meant something. Like, we're going to hit this because it's going to look good, right?
Right.
The Raid's up there. I don't even know, like, there's not even a one fight I could pick out from there because they're all quite amazing. And The Raid 2 was also very good. Yeah.
So looking at your filmography, Tron looks terrific. The trailer looks terrific. You've done Last of Us, you've done The Boys, you've done Shazam, Fubar. Like, you've done some Reacher as an actor. Sia, you mentioned that. But dude, that Tron movie looks terrific coming up.
Tron was a crazy experience. Like, I was here for, I think in total 5-6 months. And yeah, like we just rebuilt, and it was like a lot of our stuff was like part of this opening scene, and we just rebuilt it over and over and over again. And I can't go into too much detail about it just because it's not out yet, and I wish I could. But yeah, like that, it was a very cool experience, especially I grew up watching the second Tron, not the OG Tron, but it's the yeah, and then I forgot how iconic the aesthetic of that movie is, with the Daft Punk soundtrack and the looks and the visuals, right? Because then I would tell people like, oh yeah, like what you just worked on in Vancouver, like, oh, the new Tron, and I forgot how many people grew up on that movie.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, like this, and it kind of like, because sometimes, then I'll be guilty of it sometimes. Like you'll get a job and it sounds cool and you'll just get into it, and it's a lot of hard work, so you kind of you disconnect from it a little bit. Like it is just work that I'm going in for, but I was like, no, we're working on something special, right? People like, in the trailer came out, I'm like, oh right, this does look pretty good. And yeah, and with Karate Kid was an easy one to not disconnect from, because it was just so special to everybody.
Yeah,
but yeah, Tron was a good one. Yeah,
dude, are you a OG Karate Kid fan?
Oh yeah.
Dude, that movie has aged. I've said this countless times. Yeah. That movie has aged so beautifully and so well, and the stunt work in that, we're talking mid '80s, is terrific. Yes. It's terrific.
I think that's what bled into karate, to Cobra Kai, where like a lot of the actors just get involved, right? And you see them doing a lot of their own action.
Yeah. So I have two more questions for you, and thank you for all this time.
No, of course. Yeah.
So, dude, you have crazy hours. Like, I feel like you're always working. I feel like you burn the candle at both ends. Does that ever like catch up to you? Maybe this is a personal question, but like, I feel you are all about your craft, and it's like, Jesus, like you're not going to at the end of your life or whatever you come to the end, you're going to be like, I didn't leave anything on the table. I gave it everything I had.
No, and it's something that I'm trying to balance these days quite a bit. Is I've been very, very fortunate, especially in the past couple of years, to kind of be on show to show. Like, especially last year, I think I was home for a total of a month. Like, there's some credits on my IMDb that I haven't put up yet, right? Because I just, haven't had time. And I'm not trying to boast or like, no,
so not at all. Yeah.
But I think I've had this talk with with a couple of my friends, in that I think I'm on this upward trajectory right now, and maybe it's part of me that's just like, I just need to keep riding it. Because, especially with something like film that can be so fickle and, unpredictable, like I just want to keep riding this wave and keep pushing it upwards until eventually it will kind of flatline on its own. Not in a bad way, but like, there's always going to be a lull. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like I've been burning the candle at both ends. And I think sometimes, especially like with back home, they're like, yeah, we barely see you, man. Like you're always on the road now. And it's such a stark contrast, because, most of my career before all this was on the show Titans, but that was shot in Toronto, and it was like 10 minutes from my house.
Yep.
Oh, thank you so much. And then like I was spending most of my time there, and so I was home for most of the year. But now I'm almost constantly on the road, and it is because I'm trying to push myself and push my craft. But balance is everything. It's cheesy to say, but it's so true. And I definitely need to. I think this year I'm really starting to try to. Yeah, I'm trying to be careful with it. I appreciate you even considering that, or even asking about that, because it's a thing. Yeah.
Because even us communicating, setting up the interview, I'm like, this guy is just, he busts his ass, and just we're just when I'm texting you and you're texting me, I'm like, this guy is keeping late hours. He's got his crap. So last question: have you seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yes, I love that movie.
How much do you relate to Cliff? How much of his life is accurate in the life? Because he's, for those listening, he's Leonardo DiCaprio's personal stuntman, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, so
interesting. Definitely not the end of the movie, I'll say that. But which I love that scene, by the way. Another, for not to spoil it, but another great example of story-driven action. Whereas the action is not complicated, but it's very impactful, right? Which is, I think, again, what the most important thing is. I'd say I'm pretty different. I'd probably say he's a bit more of a free spirit. I think a lot of the attitudes are the same. There's some a kind of nonchalance you have to have about life, in terms, especially with stunts, just because of how high risk a lot of our things are. And you can't downplay things, but you have to look at everything quite neutrally and quite, like very chill, like how he sees life, right? Like he kind of went step by step, and you got to take it, sometimes we'll call it shot by shot. You really can't let the future things bother you that much. But I'd say in terms of the lifestyle, I'd say I'm pretty different. Like
Yeah.
I like playing video games. I like watching anime. I'm not in the, just on the road constantly. I mean, I kind of am, but for work purposes. But I do love that character though.
Yeah. No way is Bruce Lee that arrogant. No way. No way.
No, it's funny because I think that scene, not to cut you off, but I think it is retold from his memory, right?
Correct.
Like, so look, that's how he saw how it went. I think that's kind of the idea, is that like it comes across like quite.
That's a really good
flamboyant.
point. That's a really good point.
Because people got upset. They're like, he's not. I'm like, you got to remember, it's how he's remembering what happened that day. He's like, why did I not get called back? Oh, right, because I beat up Bruce Lee. yeah.
That's so right, dude. That is so right.
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to talk to Ralph Macchio at all?
I did, yeah, a little bit. Not too much, because especially in those things, I'm like, they're here doing their thing. I don't want to bug them too much. But Ralph was very, 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 very sweet, and I think we just talked about a bunch of random things. I could never pick out just a single thing, but I think with Ralph, the vibe I got was that he's just happy that such an old IP that he did way back when has like got this crazy new rise. Because I don't remember when Cobra Kai started. It's been a while now, but like there's a huge
17 or 18. It's
17.
Been a while.
It's been a minute, right? Like 8 years, and I think there's this new resurgence for the Karate Kid did well, and Cobra Kai is just doing gangbusters, right? Like my parents binged the whole thing in like a weekend. But and I think to him it just seemed like it was this nice special moment, and he just seemed so humble about it and so grateful, and he was really, really, really nice.
I love that a new generation is getting involved in it. I mean, I don't know I love the characters as much as they love the characters, some of the characters, but
I think it's a little different for us. Yeah.
It's different for me. I'm a little older. So, but I still love the fact that these kids are getting involved, and it's like Star Wars to some degree too, but Star Wars maybe we're bordering maybe on oversaturation, but I love that Ralph is doing this,
Yeah. I'm not sick of karate stuff yet. I'm not sick of the Karate Kid yet, but Star Wars stuff is a different conversation.
I still want my Buddha. I want my Buddha Stevens backstory. So what is what is around the corner for you, my friend? Is there any social media stuff you want to throw out? Take this time. Anything you wanted to say? And thank you for this wonderful interview.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor, and I enjoy talking about this stuff. And I see you're such a big fan of all of it. I see all the posters in the back, and so it's fun to just talk this stuff with just another fan. And like I'm working on something right now that's really special to me, and I think I'll just have to wait for it for down the line. But it's a special project that I loved as a kid as a show, and now it's being remade into something else, and it's going to be really good. Nothing social media wise. I still even made my Buddha Stevens post, so I'm going to probably do that after this interview. But nothing specific for me. Just thank you for having me, and it was such an honor.
Yeah, dude, you're so the way you're genuinely humble. I'm not used to that. Like that's really amazing. The way you are, like you're all about other people.
Okay, thank you. I do appreciate that.